Hey, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, doing a playthrough of a game currently on Kickstarter. This is the newest one from Blacklist Games' Dire Alliance. Now, the main mode of this game is a competitive 1v1 battler, and it's designed by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, who also designed Undaunted, which I love. I made a solo mod for it that you might have seen on the channel. But working with David and Trevor, the Sadler brothers also created a raid mode, which is for solo and co-op play, and our channel being what it is, that's what I'm going to show you today. So before I get to the game, I'm going to give you a pretty detailed rundown on how to set up the game, how to play it, and walking through each of the factions and both of the characters and the villain and all their special powers. It is a lot, so if you just feel like you want to get to the good stuff, feel free to use the timestamps to skip ahead. So everything is already set up for the two-character game I'm going to show you, but I'll still walk you through it. This is the battle board we'll be moving around on, and you'll see our two characters over here. We've got this vampire hunter and this exorcist. We'll talk more about them soon. Over here, and just kind of scattered around the board, we've got 5 objectives in different colors, and these are things that the main villain, which is this vampire lady down here, is going to be chasing after for her to win the game and for us to lose. And something special just for the Countess is her coffin token that's down here with her. You'll hear more about that when we get into how she works. And finally, we have some minions scattered around the board, and you'll see they have different colors. That's going to play into spawning and activation. But the basic idea is we have to come down, fighting off these minions, and hit the Countess enough to defeat her before she completes her scenario goal, which again is to get to all these objectives and control them. Now, in both competitive battle mode and cooperative raid mode, you can separately select your villain and the faction they control. So the main enemy we're fighting is that female vampire, but here we've got the Grievers faction, which will make up all of the minions. They've got 4 basic unit types that are already on the board, and then they've also got these Reclaimed, which are basically like little zombies they can raise up that are much easier to deal with, but can still be pretty annoying when you fight with them. And they've got a whole round summary, we'll get to that soon, and the only setup you'll see right here, let me just zoom in, place the 5 Reclaimed near this board to create the reclaim supply, and each grave, the Griever's objective, begins the game sealed. So pretty simple setup for them. We've also got the Countess here, and to go to her setup, you'll see it says place the vampire die and the sated token in the enemy play area. She doesn't have them active yet, but you can get them, and place the coffin in the Countess's starting area. So we've already done all that, and this is like basically her basic statistics in the game. Then we've also got this 20-card deck we've shuffled that will control both her activations and the minions. Now, for each of the characters in the game, kind of like we combined a villain and a faction, we're going to combine a person, a named character, here we have Vanessa, with a class, in this case, Vampire Hunter. And you can see on her main card that she has no special rules, no special setup for her basic Vanessa identity. But zooming into our class board, Vampire Hunter, you'll see that it says place the 3 marked tokens and the stake token in your pack. And we already have them right here. These will be placed out. And basically beyond that, you're going to have 5 types of cards for your character. One is keyed to your character themselves. That's this little hero card here. And then we've got Crossbow, Holy Water, Stalker's Cloak, and Wooden Stake. So 5 types of cards, 4 from the class itself, and 1 from the hero you chose. And we're going to take 2 from each pile of 5. So each of these, there's 5 copies of it. We're going to take 2 of them and shuffle that all together into a 10-card deck right here. Plus the main identity reference card here, which is going to give our basic statistics. That's 1 shield, 1 melee attack, and 0 range attack, and any special rules, which we don't have any of right now. Our other hero class combination is Asner, and he is an exorcist, so he's got his 4 cards here. And this time, looking at his hero reference, he does have some special rules, but not for setup. Basically, he can bless other heroes. And as for his Exorcist class board, it says place the entity token on any enemy. That enemy is possessed. And here is that entity token that lets us possess people. I guess I'll have him start with it on the Countess, because it gives him a chance to actually attack her from anywhere. So, and then she can also attack people for him, although it does boost her statistics, but we'll see how it starts with her on it. There we go, possessing a vampire. And finally, I showed you the board already set up, but here's where that all came from. You'll see this little Into the Darkwood. This is just one scenario in the game, kind of the most basic one where it's just trying to kill the villain, no other objective for the heroes. The villain's down here. We're starting up here. You see that we had 4 random minions. Those are already drawn where each of the objectives goes. And we get a little bit of flavor text up here. No special setup. Villain goal is controlling 3 objectives. Our goal is defeating the villain. No special rules. This is, again, the most basic scenario in the game. And finally, just looking around the board, we do have a bunch of dice. They are in red and blue colors. We'll get to those in the how to play in a second. And finally, beyond the already drawn minions, we have a bag of randomly shuffled minions, a supply of them that we'll be drawing from when they spawn. So that's about it. Let's get into how to play. So zooming into this round summary card on the faction board, you'll see that the first step of each round is the heroes acting. We're each going to draw 4 cards, and we're each going to basically play 2 cards. It says at least, and there is one small way you can get 3 or 4 cards down at first, but usually you won't want to. So we're each going to play 2 cards, generally speaking. Then we're going to draw a single card for the villain. That's going to activate minions and the villain, so a lot of the enemies are going to move. Then we'll do the heroes react phase, where we play the rest of our cards, usually going to be 2 more, so 4 played total. And then finally you draw a second villain card and activate them again. So it's really the same thing kind of happening twice, except we'll have fewer cards the second time. We play 2 cards each, they play 1 card, we play 2 cards each, they play 1 card. Now additionally, it does mention being able to exert, basically taking damage to move extra, but we'll show you that in a second. Alright, so now I've drawn Vanessa's 4 starting cards. Let's kind of walk you through how a player turn goes. And basically what you're going to do is, for the cards you want to play, you're going to put them in a line next to your main hero reference card. And each card you play can either go face up or face down, and remember that you can play basically 2 cards on your turn before you have to draw a villain card, but that's both characters playing 2 cards. If you play a card face up, the bonuses and potentially minuses to your statistics will affect your character. So you'll see Vanessa usually has 1 defense, 1 melee attack, and this is how many dice you roll when you're defending or when you're attacking in melee, and 0 range attack. And having played this Vanessa card, I would now have 2 melee attack, 1 plus 1. And if I'd played Holy Water face up, I'd now have 2 defense, 2 melee attack, and 1 range attack. So it's all additive, and when you get to your 3rd and 4th card later on in the turn, in the react phase, your stats could go even higher. Now, what's the difference between playing a card face up and face down? If you play it face up, you again get those stat modifiers, and additionally you can perform one of the actions at the bottom, one from the options of the little like kind of black markers you see there. So with Vanessa, you can only lash out, which lets her do an attack with a whip. You'll see with Holy Water, you can either smash, which lets you discard a marked token from an enemy to perform a melee attack against it, or you can soothe, healing a hero in your area. So playing face up, you have to either do one of those actions, or you can choose to do nothing. Playing face down lets you instead do any of the basic actions. Let's look at them. First of all, you can move to an adjacent space, and you can always just move 1 when you gain a movement. But if you move out of a space that contains at least 1 enemy, every enemy there gets a free melee attack against you, unless you're using the special keyword for movement withdraw, which ignores all of that. You can also, as a basic action, perform a melee attack against somebody in your area. You can shoot somebody in a different area if drawing a line from the little circle in your area to their area does not intersect any blocking terrain. So here I could not shoot, but if our green friend here was there, then we could shoot him. But you cannot shoot people in your same area. They have to be in a different one. You can also rest if there's no enemies in your area, and we'll talk about damage and healing in a second, but resting basically lets you take a card that's been removed from your deck and put it back in your discard pile. So again, playing a card face down lets you do one of those actions, but you get no changes to your stats, whereas your face-up cards might have more limited or specific things they do, but they do sometimes boost your powers. Now with those things out of the way, let's talk about combat and damage. So as I already said, your stats will determine how many dice you roll. So right now Vanessa is 2 defense, 2 melee, 1 ranged. So if somebody attacked her, she would roll 2 defense dice. If she attacked somebody in melee, she would roll 2 melee dice. You get the idea. And the minions you might battle have stats too. So if I attacked, for example, this bearer, he's got 3 defense, so he would roll 3 dice. And let's say that's what we were doing. Vanessa was attacking this guy with a basic melee attack. So what you do is you build a pool of dice. You pick 1 color to represent the attacker and 1 for the defender. I like to use red for attacker and blue for defender. So here, Vanessa's got 2 melee. The bearer has 3 defense, so I'm rolling these. And what I'm looking for are the little POW symbols on the attacking dice and the little shield symbols on the defense dice. And the big thing in this game is that the attacker wins ties. So if, let's say, he had rolled only 1 shield and I had rolled only 1 POW, as here, I would still hit him. I would still cause damage. However, that does not apply if the attacker rolled 0 hits, so you have to have something to win ties. And it doesn't matter how much you win by, all you're looking for is that tie or more, so even if I got 4 hits and he got no shields, I would still deal the same 1 damage. Now with minions, damage is super simple. They are taken away. They go right back in the bag to potentially be spawned later. And defeating minions is how I build up my deck. Every time I defeat a minion, I get to pick one of my 5 card types, remember the 4 from my class, and my named one. I can take 1 copy of that card and put it in my discard pile to get shuffled into my deck later. So I can kind of choose which combos I want to have more of, and also it will matter for enemies damaging me, as we'll get to in a second. Now you can also attack the villain. You'll see that they also have stats, like the Countess here has 1 shield and 4 attack. But she will also be playing cards. As we said, she'll play 1 card after we play our 2 cards, then another one after our 4 cards, so her stats will also be boosted. Here she would have 3 defense because of her bat form. But she is not defeated with just 1 hit. You'll see the 3p heart symbol in the upper right of her card there. That means that you multiply by the number of players or characters, so in this case we have 6 total for her. That's how many times we have to hit her, damage her in a successful attack to win the scenario. Finally, you might wonder, what if one of them damages us? Well, notice that they have sort of these Roman numeral-ish numbers on each of the minions, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the villain's reference card has this skull icon. Well, you might notice that the 5 types of cards that can be in your deck correspond to those. So how it works is if I get hit by the Roman numeral 1 enemy, I have to get rid of a Roman numeral 1 card from my hand, deck, or discard pile in that order. So first I would look down here at my hand, see if I had a crossbow in there. I don't. Next, I would go looking through my deck, see if I have one in there. If I don't, I would go through my discard pile. And wherever you find the card, you're going to put it to the side in this little damage area. And those cards can only come back if you heal. And remember, we talked about the rest action earlier. That lets you heal for 1 card if somebody's not in your space, and it goes to your discard pile. But a very important rule, you cannot take the cards you've played for the turn as damage. And the reason that matters is if you ever take damage and no cards are left in your deck, discard pile, or hand for that type of damage. So like if the Countess hurt me and all of my Skull Vanessa cards were either in the play area or had already been damaged or hadn't been leveled up into yet, then that hero is defeated and you lose the scenario. So you're not only deck building to build combos with your cards, you're also trying to make sure you have the right cards to take the damage you think you'll take from minions and the villain. Now some effects will deal damage that isn't keyed to any of those symbols, and also I mentioned you can exert once per turn to move 1 space, and exerting does a random damage from the top of your deck. So you just take whatever the top card is and put it in your little damage area. And then finally, we have to talk about the villain's turn. So like I already said, you'll draw 1 card. And the first thing you're going to look at with the card, like this laid to rest one, is the color of the icon in the middle of the card. In this case, it's red. And what that color means is that each character in the game is going to resolve a activation for a minion of that color. And you start with whichever character was last to do an action in the round. So let's say it was Asner, our exorcist. What he would do is he would look for the closest red minion. In this case, it's the caretaker down here. And he would activate her. And what you'll see is kind of like our cards, you'll have multiple options for how these characters activate, except for the experimenter who only has 1. And you resolve the first one that makes sense. Like the caretaker's first action is melee, then resurrect. So if she were not in a space with one of us to attack us, then she would skip that one and go to the next one, unearth any sealed grave. If she couldn't do that, then finally she would move twice. And by and large, whenever minions move, they move towards the closest character, the closest hero, because they want to attack us. So after Asner resolved his red minion's action, then Vanessa would try to do the same, but you can't activate the same minion twice with the same villain card. So at this point, we would have no red minions. There are none left. And that's what triggers a spawn. Whenever you can't activate a minion, you're going to draw a random minion from the bag, and whichever color they are, here we got a purple one, you're going to put it on the same space as that objective, unless the villain's already grabbed that objective. Let's say the Countess had already captured that one for her victory condition, and in that case, the minion will spawn with the villain protecting them. Finally, in a very similar way to the minions, you'll activate the villain themselves, and here you'll see that the Countess has some special powers, and then she'll either control, which means she grabs an objective that's on her space if she can, if we're not there to stop her. And if she can't do that, if she's not with an objective, then she'll move and melee, and then withdraw. Remember, withdrawing is a move without taking opportunity attacks. And unlike minions, the Countess is going to move towards the closest objective to further her win condition, although when given the choice between equidistant things, she does want to move onto us and attack us. So there you go. Those are the basics of playing Dire Alliance Horror. But let's jump into a quick look at each of our heroes and our enemy faction and kind of see what they're all about with their special powers. So Vanessa's hero card lets her lash out. She can do a melee attack in an adjacent area or in her area, and she gets +1 attack if she's targeting an adjacent person. It's supposed to be her whipping them, kind of like a Simon Belmont Castlevania character. And Vampire Hunter, as we already mentioned, has these marked tokens and a stake token. And it's going through each of the card. The crossbow gives you a big boost to your range attack and lets you mark up to 3 enemies you can see you have line of sight to. And what does marking do? You can see it over here. Each time a marked enemy is attacked, before the dice are rolled, the attacker may discard the marked token to gain an automatic hit to their roll, making it more likely they'll hurt somebody. And I can do that, and my allies can also use that. The Holy Water we already showed you. It lets you discard a marked token from an enemy you can see to do a melee attack against them, basically throw some Holy Water at them. Or it lets a hero in your area heal, and unlike the previously mentioned rest basic action, you don't have to worry about enemies being in your space. Skipping Stalker's Cloak, the wooden stakes let you stake an enemy in your area. And again, staking's explained down here. After a staked enemy either attacks or defends, you may discard the stake token. That's after you see the dice results to cancel a hit or a shield. So you can kind of make sure in a close result that you hit or defend successfully. But there's another use of stakes. Look at the Stalker's Cloak. First of all, Shadow Walk, you can withdraw. That means move without taking opportunity attacks, and then mark an enemy you can see. Or Pierce the Heart. You can discard the stake token from an enemy in your area to damage them automatically, completely ignoring their defense. So that's everything we've got for Vanessa the Vampire Hunter. Now looking at Asner, our Exorcist, his basic hero card means he can bless a hero he can see. And it looks like they forgot the blessing tokens as of my playing of this mod, so I'm just going to use these little substitutes I just made. Or you can use Salvation to heal any blessed hero no matter where they are. Now what do blessings do? This time we have to go to his main reference card. Before a blessed hero rolls dice, they may discard 1 token to add +1 hit or +1 defense to their results. So kind of similar to the other stuff we saw, but a lot more flexible, even helps with defense. Now, as for the Exorcist, they have 2 key things going on. We mentioned the entity token possessing an enemy already. An enemy with the entity token is possessed and gains +1 to each of its stats, so currently we are making the Countess stronger. But each time the possessed enemy suffers damage, you can move the entity token to the enemy nearest it, or you have to, I should say. If unable to, it remains on the possessed enemy, so if there are no other enemies. And here's a key thing, you may always see the possessed enemy, which means that Asner can, shoot some ranged attacks at her as though she were right next to him, even though she's halfway across the map. Now, the other key thing an Exorcist can do is to banish a minion to their little graceful binding space here. And there's a few ways to do that, but a main way is each time you defeat a minion, you may banish it. It says that right here. And whichever minion is banished on your board, every minion that matches that minion in type or color becomes an outcast minion. So if I'd banish this purple Exorcist here, this yellow Exorcist would be outcast, and any other purple minions of any type would be outcast if they were out. And why does that matter? You'll see when an outcast minion either activates or spawns, you may release the banished minion. That means put it back in the bag, basically return it from your board, to prevent the outcast minion from activating or spawning. Nice little effect there. Now to go through his cards, because they interact with both of those things, possessing and banishing and outcasting. The Holy Tome, you can read Scripture to banish a random minion from the supply, just draw it from the bag. Or you can Beseech, make the possessed enemy perform a shoot attack or melee attack targeting an enemy of your choice. So right now with the Countess being possessed, we get to have her attack one of her own minions. Oath of Eviction, we get to move the entity token to any enemy we can see. That's the one that possesses them. And then we can perform a move action with up to 2 different minions the possessed enemy can see. So we can force them to run away, and making them move away from us could trigger free opportunity attacks, which is certainly a great way to use that card. Divine Judgment, choose up to 2 outcast minions. You may release the banished minion to perform up to 2 shoot actions, each attack targeting either chosen minion, even if you can't see them. So you just blast them through their connection to the other minion that you've captured or whatever. Finally, Rites of Purity, be gone. You may perform a move action with each outcast enemy. Then you may release the banished minion to heal each hero you can see. So clearly the Exorcist can mess with the enemies a bunch, make them move, get free attacks, lots of cool stuff. And finally, the Grievers have their own special stuff. Zooming in here on their special rules, their objectives are graves, you already saw that, and when they're unearthed, which is generally done by the Caretaker, you flip them over to their unearthed side, and that means that can't be unearthed anymore, which basically means the Caretaker can't use her little unearthed resurrect power more than 5 times per game. They also have their Acclaimed, which are going to be summoned by a lot of these guys. We'll get to that in a second. And when they attack you, you see they have a star for their value. Instead, they just deal 1 damage automatically, but they basically blow themselves up or, crumble upon your body. So they are removed back to the pool after they attack you. Now, the two keywords these guys use, Compel activates the Reclaimed nearest to this minion, so Reclaimed don't activate on their own, but other people can make them activate. And Resurrect is how the Reclaimed come onto the board. Whenever somebody resurrects, you put a Reclaimed in their space. So to get through there, guys, the Bearer likes to shoot. He's the only one with a range value. And then he can also compel or resurrect, so putting the guys on the board or moving them. Caretaker has really good defense, and she also resurrects and compels by unearthing a grave. Experimenter has really squishy stats, but he's kind of support guy. He resurrects and withdraws, then he makes everyone else in an objective area get a free move. And finally, the Butcher is just a beast. 4 melee attack, and he can melee twice if he starts his action in your turn, or move and melee, so yeah, he's a nasty guy. And finally, for the Countess, she's a vampire, so if she hits you with a melee attack, she gets this little sated token. And that means in all her attacks and defense, she'll roll this extra vampire die. And if she rolls this little blood drop icon when she's attacking in melee, and if she damages you, she actually heals herself once. So even though she only has 6 life, she can heal some of it. And the other thing about her is her coffin, which you'll see down at the bottom of her card. She has +2 defense while her coffin is in her area, and remember, she starts with it. And then whenever she takes damage, it moves to her area. So it's really tough to damage her a lot in one turn. Generally, you want to hit her, let her move away from the coffin, hit her again, that kind of thing. So finally, let's get into round 1. We want to move up, take out some people, get to that Countess, and start hitting her. So Vanessa's got 2 of her nice whip attacks. She's got Stalker's Cloak that lets her move, and Holy Water. Yeah, I think I want to get her down to the middle and start just beating on some people. Now remember, I could switch back and forth between her and Asner to do their actions, but with TTS and playing 2 characters, I'm just going to try to do one at a time when I can. So first I'm going to play a Stalker's Cloak to boost her life and give me a withdraw and a free mark against an enemy I can see. So she'll move here, and then the only guy she can see is this guy over here, so she's going to mark him. I doubt we'll be attacking him anytime soon, but you never know. Alright, now I like to live on the edge. I'm going to have her exert herself to get a free move. Remember, that means I take the top card of my deck as damage, which is one of my 2 starting Wooden Stake cards. And now for her second card, I'm going to play a Vanessa card. It's +1 melee, and I can perform a melee attack targeting an enemy in my area or adjacent. It would be +1 if they were adjacent, but here I'll just take the regular 2 attack against this Experimenter right in my space. So he has 2 defense, I have 2 attack. But that's okay, the attacker has the advantage generally, except when you roll like that. Remember, I'm always treating red as the attack dice. But that's it, I can't do any more cards. Let's see if Asner can help me out. So Asner's drawn, nice mix of things here. Now, since the Countess is currently possessed, I could get off a range attack at her, but I'd kind of rather her move away from her coffin first. So instead, why don't I try to move up and shoot this guy that's marked. I think I'm also going to have him exert to get the free move. Took an Oath of Eviction as damage. He'll move up here, and that does give him line of sight to this guy. And I'd like to play one of these 2 face up that gives me a bonus to range. This one would let me bless somebody. This one would let me perform shoot actions against outcast minions, but I haven't killed anybody yet, so yeah, let's go ahead and do the Asner one. And I guess I'll go ahead and bless myself, because I can't even see Vanessa right now. And I'll play a card face down to get the range attack. I don't think I'm going to do melee this turn, so let's do Oath of Eviction. So that's a basic action to do a range attack. I have 2. And this guy only has 2 defense, and I'll go and discard the mark to give me a +1 hit automatically, which means I don't think I need to use the blessing yet. I should be okay like this. So that's 2 attack and 2 defense again. Remember, I get +1 hit automatically, which is not enough. Wow. I rolled no hits on my actual dice, and they got 3 defense, so I do not kill him. Even a blessing wouldn't have helped there. So, some pretty cruddy rolling luck to start out. With both of us having done 2 cards, let's see what the Countess and her minions are doing. Oh, and it is a red laid to rest. So Asner was the last to go, although usually it doesn't really matter, and Asner's going to activate this red person here. Her preference is to melee, then resurrect, but she's not in the space with Vanessa, so instead she's going to unearth a sealed grave to resurrect and compel. So basically these are just counters, because she can unearth up to 5 times. Once all of these are flipped, she won't be able to do it anymore. But it does matter a little bit which ones I pick, because when the Countess takes these away, they also won't be available to unearth as she pursues her objective. So I'm going to do the one furthest from the Countess right here. That lets her resurrect, and then I'm going to activate this guy immediately with her compel. And he moves and then melees, which remember is just an automatic damage on Vanessa. So that was a little harsh. He explodes on her. And that's another random damage, a crossbow this time. And there are no other red minions, so we're drawing. Oh, and that is a red guy, so he'll go right there. And just a quick note, let's say we were playing with 3 players. Now the 3rd player would activate someone, and he would now have a red minion. So minions that were previously spawned by a different player's activation can be moved by the new player. Now for the Countess's action, this is a nasty one to start with. If the coffin is in the Countess's area, she becomes sated, and usually that would have only happened if she had hurt us in melee, so that's not good. She withdraws, which means she moves one. Then, since she can't control, she's going to move and melee. There won't be anyone to fight there with, and then withdraw. So she's going to move 3 times, and she's got her good token there. She's going towards the closest objective, this red one. So 1, 2, 3, joining the little guy that just popped up there. So she hasn't taken it yet. She'll have to do the control action later, but still not too great. Well, clearly Vanessa needs to try this again. I want to save my remaining Vanessa card for the 1 range attack, so let's do the Holy Water face down first. So that'll be another 2 attack against the guy in my space. So if it goes better this time. Yes, it does. Okay, I got 1 hit and he got no shield, so he is done. Back to the bag, and I get to gain a card to my discard pile. I've taken both a crossbow and a wooden stake damage. I feel like the other guys probably got the range attack covered, so let me get a wooden stake to my discard. All right, that worked out perfect. Now for her other action, she's going to whip. And that's 1, 2, 3 melee, plus 1 because I'm attacking someone adjacent. So that'll be 4 against her with 3 defense. Feel a bit better about this. Come on. And let's see. I think it was that one. So that's 3 hits, 2 defense. Bam. Nice. So cleared out this area pretty well. And now, how do I want to get the crossbow? And I think I'll go for a mix of Holy Water and Vanessa. Let's get another Vanessa card since that's what the villain will damage. All right, Asner's got a Divine Judgment that gives me a big boost to range attack. Or a Holy Tome, which would let me banish any minion. Gosh, I wish I could just defeat a minion. Well, let's see. Currently, the Countess's defense is 2, plus she'll have the vampire die. So I have to hit her pretty hard to make sure I hurt her, but let's do it. So I'm going to play Divine Judgment face up for the +2 range. I can't use the power because I haven't banished anybody yet. But that'll let me play Holy Tome face down for a range attack. And that is 4 range against 2 defense and the blood die. I think I'll be okay without the blessing still. Now the nice thing is if you damage a vampire that is sated, they lose the token, so hopefully this will be the end of that pretty quickly. Yeah, she got 3 defense, I got 4 attack, looking much better, bam. So the sated token is gone, and she takes her first of 6 damage to win. But now her coffin pops up. Oh, wait, I just remembered, because she is possessed, she has +1 to all of her stats. Oh no. Okay, I'm still okay, because I tied. 4 defense, 4 attack. And now the possession entity token moves to the nearest other minion, so it's going to be on that guy, which means if I shoot him, it'll move back to her, and I can try to get her again. All right, that's it for us. The Countess's second card. Oh, interesting, bat form, but first let's do some red activations. So we have this new possessed guy who is red, and he shoots or moves and then compels. Or if he can't do that, he'll melee and then resurrect. So he certainly can't shoot either of us. So he's going to try to move towards the nearest hero. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's going to move this way. And then after he shoots or moves, he compels, but there are no resurrect people on the board, so that'll be it for him. No other red left, so we're going to draw. And that is another red. They just like spawning over there. Now, this worked out really well for us. If she had still been sated, she would have withdrawn, and she wouldn't move at all because she's already on the objective. And then she would have controlled. She would have taken that objective away 1/3 of the way toward winning. But now she got pissed off and turned into a bat. She's going to move twice toward the nearest hero, try to melee, and then she'll withdraw if she's sated, which would come from being meleeed and drinking our blood. But yeah, this is beautiful. I think she's going to go 1, 2, be kind of out in the open, ready for a whip to the face if I can make it happen. So yeah, super lucky use of the possession attack there to totally switch up her plans. All right, so it is the end of the round. Something I didn't say. I'm going to take all of my cards and discard them. And the Countess's 2 cards go away too. So we'll always have our base stats again at the beginning of the next round. All right, this time let's start with Asner. We'll just kind of switch it up. 2 Rites of Purity, which interact with the outcast enemy. Divine Judgment interacts with the outcast enemy. It'd be really nice if I could actually kill a minion. Or I can just bless somebody or heal myself. Well, yeah, let's try to plink this guy away again and then maybe get moving. So I think I'm going to play Divine Judgment first, just for its +2 bonus again. And then I'll play one of my 2 Rites of Purity face down for the range attack. That's 3 attack versus the Exorcist's 2 defense. And looks like I'll be good regardless once that red die finishes falling. There we go. So 1 versus 0 defense. So he's removed, but don't forget I can put him on the banished little spot to have some outcast minions now. Although that's not really a useful one, is it? There are no yellow guys or any of these guys on the board. Oh well. So he goes right in the spot there. But I do get to gain a card. I could gain back another Oath of Eviction like I lost. I mean, I guess Asner. Holy Tome gets me like free attacks with the possessed person. Divine Judgment gives me big boost to my range attack. Oath of Eviction would potentially let me do some melee attacks pretty well. But for now, yeah, I think I want another Holy Tome. All right, jumping over to Vanessa. She does have a crossbow. She could, I guess, set up a range attack against the Countess. That would make sense. Or she could use the Holy Water to do a melee attack, although it doesn't really work out. Ooh, she's got Wooden Stakes and the Stalker's Cloak. If the Countess maybe charges into my space, then I could stake her and then do an automatic damage. That'd be cool. So for now, sure, let's play the crossbow to take aim. I can mark up to 3 enemies I can see, which sadly is only the Countess, but still, it's cool that I did that. And then I could use the Holy Water and discard the mark token to perform a melee attack against her, but that would be at 0 melee. So let's instead play it face down for the range attack with 2 range value from the crossbow. And since she's played no cards yet, she only has 1 defense. And let's be safe, I'll discard the mark to get the +1 hit. Now, come on, take her down. Oh man, really? Gosh. Alright, so my shot goes wide, I guess. Even with my mark giving +1, I have 1 hit to 2 defense. Not enough. Ouch, that was a bit demoralizing. Let's see what the Countess is doing in response. Yellow. And we have none, so first we're going to spawn. It is a purple, so we will spawn again. No yellow came out. Well, until that butcher right there. Yikes. Although the best he can do is move and then attack, so as long as we're not within 1 of him, we're somewhat safe. And then the first action the Countess would have taken is control, but she is clearly not on an objective. Ooh, and then melee targeting each hero in the villain's area and each adjacent area, so she can attack Vanessa. And then if she's sated, so if she hits and gains that little blood token, she'll withdraw. And she is at 5 attack, oh lord. What's Vanessa's defense? 1. Yeah, this probably won't go very well. Here we go. Yes, that is 4 hits and 0 defense. So Vanessa has to take a Vanessa card as damage. She doesn't have any in her hand, and she has no deck, so it's clearly going to come from her discard. The Countess becomes sated, and that means she's also going to withdraw towards the closest objective. Let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2. I forget the exact tiebreaker here. I think it's closer to a hero to potentially attack them, so I think she goes this way. And the Countess still only has 1 defense, so I think instead of trying to do the wooden stake combo, we should just run in and shoot her or whatever. But let's get back to Asner. He's got his card for Blessing or Rites of Purity. I can heal each hero I can see. I probably want to get him back to Vanessa to help her. Yeah, actually, let's do that, and then he can range attack her. So let's exert, or can I afford to just move? Now let's exert. So that's a damage from the top. Holy Tome. Ooh, so now I'm definitely going to use Rites of Purity to heal us both, because I can see her and myself, yes. So I might as well do that first. So I may perform a move action with each outcast enemy. Remember, this is a yellow exorcist. Oh, nice, so I can actually move the butcher away from us, so it's even harder for him to get to us. I do put my banished guy back in the bag, and that means we both get to heal. Vanessa's going to grab back her Vanessa card into the discard. And Asner, I just got an extra Holy Tome, so I guess I'll get my Oath of Eviction back. Now a face-down card for a range attack with 3 attack. I could make it 4 with the Blessing. Or not 4, but +1. But her defense is only 1, although she does have the Vampire die. Alright, let's not take a chance. Let's go ahead and do it. Alright, so I have +1 hit automatically. Cool. So 3 hits against 1 defense. I guess I didn't need the Blessing. She takes her 2nd out of 6 damage and is no longer sated. But her coffin's there to protect her again. Now here's the question. Now that Vanessa healed, do I go a little crazy, exert myself in here, and do the Stake and Stalker's Cloak combo to deal an automatic damage, ignoring her 3 defense? I mean, I think you all know the answer, right? Of course I do. So I'm going to exert. Oh, and I lost in the Vanessa card. That was not what I wanted. So I'm running in here, playing Wooden Stake to stake her, and then playing Stalker's Heart to discard the token and do an automatic damage to her. 1-2 combo, and she is half dead, baby. And I am maybe more than half dead. So that's it. Let's hope her 2nd action is not too terrible. Oh, it's another Thirst. I don't think I like that. First, we're doing another purple activation. So Exorcist is the only one. So he's going to resurrect a Reclaimed in his space and then withdraw. And withdraw means they move towards the villain, which actually means toward me. And then every other minion in an objective area performs a move. Yeah, I don't like this at all. So he's going to do that. He's going to withdraw to the Countess. Everyone in an objective area moves, remember, towards the closest hero. So bam, and bam. And now this guy's right back where he was before. And this guy's here. And 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I guess that is the fastest. Wow. We just got mobbed. And we're not done because we still have a spawn. And it's a blue bear up there. That's not too worrying. And the Countess is doing the Thirst again. She can't control, so she's going to melee, targeting each hero in the villain's area and adjacent area. Oh, so she's attacking us both. With 6 attack now? So with multi-hit attacks, you roll 1 attack result. And that's a 3. And then each person defends separately. Vanessa's actually up to 3 defense now, so she's not completely out of it. But yes, she is. That means with a 2nd Vanessa card, she only has 1 left in her deck, so if she played it, she would be in danger of dying and losing us the game. Meanwhile, Asner has also 3 defense dice. Should have saved the blessing for this. Oh god, they would have rolled great attacks. So he loses one of his Asner cards. He's also only got 1 left. So she is certainly sated and certainly withdrawing as we get ready for the next round. This means she's going here, away from her coffin though, so that's potentially good if we don't die. So, yikes. Asner could potentially shoot her. Vanessa could whip her if she didn't want to lose her whip. But if either of them move instead of withdrawing, they will get a lot of attacks. Let's see, Asner got pairs. He can move the entity token to an enemy he could see, which could include the Countess, I think. Then perform a move action with up to 2 different minions they can see, so we can get these guys off our spaces. Oh, and actually that would give us free attacks. Oh, I like that a lot. Or Rites of Purity, we would already need to have a banished enemy. So yeah, let's try to have Vanessa play a card and then come back to Asner for some eviction. And looking at what Vanessa drew, so she could play Wooden Stake, stake one of these enemies. That would give her 3 melee attack. And then if I possess the Countess, or even possess this guy up here, I could have both of these guys move out of her space. She would get free melee attacks against each of them, be able to heal a bunch. I am loving this. So let's make this happen. She's going to play Wooden Stakes and stake the guy with slightly better defense in case her attack goes poorly. Okay, then Asner is going to play Oath of Eviction. He's going to possess this guy. I don't want to possess her because I want to boost all her stats. And now I can move 2 minions this guy can see. So we'll have the Reclaimed move up here. Vanessa will get a free attack. And this guy with the stake. She's got 3 melee against each of them. So this is against the Reclaimed. He's only got 1 defense. And that is not enough. He's done. And she's basically going to go all Vanessa cards so she doesn't die. And then the other guy has 2 defense, but don't forget the stake can cancel some stuff out. Oh, we actually don't need it, so I guess I'll get it back anyway. And yeah, she's getting her last Vanessa card. And hey, speaking of Vanessa cards, now that I've leveled up into summon, I'm not in danger of dying. Let's play one. Get 4 attack, 5 if I whip the Countess 1 space away. Yeah, it's definitely overkill. She's sated, but only has 1 defense. So now that would have healed her if she was attacking me, but it doesn't help at all when she's being attacked. And yeah, I've got 1 versus 0 defense. That was a terrible roll, but it didn't matter. So she's at 4. Her coffin's coming over. And she is no longer sated. So Vanessa is done for now, but her melee stat is still amazing. I'm going to try to get her to attack the Countess again. Meanwhile, Asner is in a bit of an awkward way with this guy here. Now, he's only got 1 melee normally, but because he's possessed, he's got 2, so if I run away, that might not be great. I've only got 1 defense right now. I could try to punch him with my 2 melee, but that's unlikely to help. Let's do Oath of Eviction again. Maybe I can get him off me. Yeah, let's do this. Let's put it on this random guy. I don't want it on the giant butcher over there. And now I can move him up to here where he won't have ranged line of sight to me, and I'll get a free attack against him. And then this guy can see her, so she can run back over there out of the way. Wow, Asner's actually up to 4 melee attacks, so he has a pretty good chance of killing that guy. Yep, 4 attack against 3 defense. Come on. It doesn't look good. Wait, yes, 2 versus 2. Boom. So he is defeated. Man, Asner apparently doesn't mind if they're all grouped together, does he? And I guess I'll get an Asner card because I don't want him to die either. Our Countess looking a little worse for wear. Let's see what she does. Yellow's activating first. The only one is the Butcher, and he moves to... I think I can choose where he goes. Either way, he's not going to attack, but who will have an easier time getting away? I guess she's got the, automatically withdraw card. Let's put him on her. Then spawning for our second. Green guy. Yes, get the heck out of here. All the way over there is beautiful. And then what's she going to do? She's got +3 range, but no plus defense. I like this. But she is going to control. So she does grab her first of 3 objectives. Now purple enemies will spawn on her. And that also means she didn't move out of her coffin. So she'll have 3 defense instead of 1. But I don't care. Let's attack this lady. Oh, and Vanessa is so set up for this. I can Stalker's Cloak, Shadow Walk, withdraw, and mark an enemy I can see. Withdrawn right into melee range. If I got my sights on you, bam. And let's see, I could actually use Holy Water's power to attack her, and that would give me plus... Oh, no, it wouldn't give me plus any melee. So I'm just going to use it as a regular attack. So I've got 4 melee. I'll discard the mark for +1 hit. And she's got 3 defense because she's with her coffin. 2 versus 1, yes! Oh man, 5 damage. Oh man, in retrospect, maybe I should have just withdrawn and taken the hit from the Butcher to get 2 melee attacks on her. Well, you know what? Wait, Asner can, right? Okay, let's do this. So Asner's going to move in with the face down card. So that's Rites of Purity. Oh wait, no, I can't do it because the Rites of Purity is the card that matches the Butcher, which means if I get hit by him, he'll take away the card from my hand. I'll have nothing left. Or if I play the card first, then he'll kill me. So never mind, let's not exert it all. Instead, let's just try to punch this guy with all 4 of my melee attack. He's got 3 defense. Come on. That looks pretty good. 2 versus 1, boom! Now the Countess is defenseless, baby. And Asner, I think he's probably more likely to do a range attack. Let's get a Divine Judgment. All right, down to 1 life. What can you do, lady? I don't think another Deadly Charm is going to cut it. So purple is activating. And they don't exist, so we'll spawn once. No, right on her place. And then he's going to activate because he spawns with her since there is no more purple. Although he's not necessarily the worst, so he'll resurrect first, then he'll withdraw, but he wants to be on the villain when he withdraws. And then everybody on an objective will move. But the Reclaimed is already on one. I guess she'll move back towards us. He'll move towards us, and that's got to be the fastest. He'll move towards us, but that wasn't too bad, honestly. But now what's she doing? If not in an objective area, withdraw twice. She's going to get away. Let's see, closest now is yellow, so she's going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. She likes to go towards heroes, I think, so I guess she'll be right there, right in range of attack for the final blow. All right, all Vanessa's got is Holy Water and Vanessa cards, so I don't think she's getting away from these two guys, although he would just explode, and this guy is pretty terrible at melee, so she might be safe. It's really all about Asner, and yes, he got his boost of ranged attack. I should be able to do just one of these face up. Then I'm going to attack her with a Holy Tome face down. Actually, wait, I could have this guy shoot her for the kill instead. Look, Beseech. The possessed enemy performs a shoot action or melee action targeting an eligible enemy of my choice. What's his range attack? 2, but +1 for being possessed. That'd be 3. I mean, that is way more hilarious. So let's use the Holy Tome for the Beseech power and have him shoot down his own master in cold blood. All right, you got this, Igor. You're on my side now. Get her! Boom, boom, boom. Yes! So I'm sure he feels very bad once the possession wears off, but she is bye-bye. So there you go. That was a playthrough of the solo co-op raid mode for Dire Alliance Horror. And we got really lucky there a few times, like when we hit her to make her unsated so that she ran towards us. She would have definitely gotten the red one otherwise, which means she would have been just a space away from completing her objective if we hadn't gotten that one play. But this game is a ton of fun. Check out my review if you want to hear more, and I'll also talk a bit about Battle Mode, the competitive version of the game. But in any case, good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.